What's going on? Welcome to My Take Is. Thank you for clicking on the video. Do me a favor, click the subscribe button as well, and check out my buddy Zack Gray at ZG the Grapevine on X. Does a great job with all of his sports gambling stuff. We had an awesome conversation about the college football playoff rankings. Hopefully you enjoy it. Here it is. Welcoming in now the one and only Zack Gray at ZG the Grapevine on X, the best sports gambler that I know, and the best guy to talk to at this point in the year because this guy is just a college football sicko in every sense of the word. So let's start with Notre Dame. Obviously, the team that I guess was shafted. I don't really think that they were shafted. What are kind of your thoughts on Notre Dame being left out?
Jay Smith, first of all, we needed one of these. We
Absolutely.
haven't talked in a long time.
Too long.
But when the thing that really bothers me about this whole thing is like Notre Dame is acting like there's some like 12-0 Florida State martyr in this situation. Like you look around Twitter and you see all the posts, it's like this feeling of like disrespect and going against this like blatantly corrupt system. And it's like, no, you're out because you lost. And what we see time and time again, and Ari Wasserman said this on X a few minutes ago, who you beat is king, and who you lose to is also king. Miami beat them head to head, and Miami is, that's when they're close together like that, that's where you have to make that matter. And it's just so strange to me that it's Notre Dame fans that are talking about how they didn't get preferential treatment when this whole independent thing, not having to play a conference championship game, like they are the biggest proponents of bias or getting the benefit of the doubt. So it's just crazy. And I don't like Notre Dame, but I think if you insert any team here in this spot, it's the same conversation. It's wild.
I completely agree with you. And Notre Dame fans that are watching this right now, I would like to challenge you to be tougher than your actual favorite football team who opted out of the bowl game. Because Zach and I are probably going to say some mean things about Notre Dame for the next probably 5 minutes or so. And so I just want to challenge you to be a little bit tougher than them and stay through this because I do think that this whole video is going to be really good. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And like the fake threats, I don't know if you saw these, but like I saw a guy today who covers Notre Dame, and he was like they should like opt out of their agreements with the ACC because the ACC openly campaigned against them. Of course they campaigned against you. You're not in their conference. Like what do you expect them to do? To fight for you over Miami because they have some like side deal with you where they let you play against these other ACC teams? And honestly, what I hope happens, this won't happen, but I hope it does. I hope that they opt out of their deal with the ACC. And I hope the other three Power Four conferences just like ice them out and force them to join a conference because like you said, like they already get this preferential treatment
Yep.
and now they're upset that they're not getting more. And so, and then to opt out of the bowl game, like it's not surprising because it's Notre Dame, and you
Right
knew
on
that they were
brand.
gonna throw you knew they were gonna throw a fit about it. And like what makes it worse is like living here in Indiana and hearing all the Notre Dame fake toughness stuff from Marcus Freeman. We'll play anybody, anytime, anywhere. No, you won't. Like you were probably gonna play BYU, who
As
I
long as my
think.
feelings aren't hurt, then I'll play anybody anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. And like they were probably going to play BYU, who I think probably had a stronger case to get in than Notre Dame. We don't have we don't have to get into that. But like BYU is still going to go play in a bowl game. So is Texas, who had a long shot to get in. Like it's just normal Notre Dame, and I don't really know how much you have to add to that, but just typical from them.
Yeah, and again, I keep seeing like they're a top five team or they're gonna win, they're gonna win the championship and look at their odds and all of these things like that. And how many times have we seen talented rosters not actually translate to their record and winning games? Like I don't care when you play them, week one, week two, whenever, when you have your two toughest opponents on your schedule and you lose to both of them, like even if they split, I think even if they split one of those games, Texas A&M or Miami, excuse me, I think they get in.
Oh,
Because
absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think they're right next to Miami at that point. Like
They're
I think
not.
they're probably in, seven, 8 range, something like that. And so like I don't understand. Like Notre Dame is like has been historically the team that's like, oh, we're not the most talented team. We're not an Ohio State. We're not a Georgia, but we win because we're so tough and all. And like now that you actually have talent, you're using that as an argument as to why you should get in. It's just very hypocritical.
Yeah.
But again, you said it as well. Like this is the pinnacle of Notre Dame fandom and Notre Dame in general.
And here's my thing about their arguments of like how good they look. It's like, yeah, you look good. The best team you played in the last 6 weeks is Pitt.
Yeah.
Like,
And
and
you saw
like,
what Miami did to him,
oh
to
yeah,
Pitt.
like, yeah, and like I know that when Miami beat Notre Dame, it was 27-24. But if you remember that game, Miami pushed them around. Like that's why they won the game. And like this whole idea of they've gotten better, like I don't know, I don't think they have. I think they're just not playing teams that are in the playoff now.
Yeah. And we have a track record of Notre Dame doing this, like losing early in the season. And it's what if they won a national championship last year or whenever they've done this in the past, like at least then you would have some type of tangible, real data point to go off of. Like, hey, look, we did this and this year, we're, we get that benefit of the doubt for this year. But you don't. You lose every big game you play in, and you haven't won a national title in 40 years. Like, where do they get off thinking that they're this like behemoth giant? They don't win their big games. They're just a popular brand.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better
Is there
myself.
anything better than getting on here with you and just ripping Notre Dame to shreds? It's so, so cathartic.
It's the one thing that can unite college football. Because like you're a Big Ten guy, I'm an SEC guy. But that being said, I think we both do a good job of removing our bias 98% of the time.
Yeah.
But like we can bond over the fact that Notre Dame gets special treatment and it's fun to see them this upset. I don't have much else on them. I'm really interested in kind of the Alabama side of this. I don't want to say, yeah, we can say that they snuck in. That's probably the right term. So if you have anything else on Notre Dame, go ahead. But if not, like I'd like to kind of start talking about the bracket.
Did you see that thing where there's some type of written agreement where moving forward, if they're in the top 12, it's an automatic bid?
I want to know who approved that because I would like to
That's
think
crazy.
that the other power conferences would have stepped in and been like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I just, which I don't know how all that stuff works. I don't know who approved that, but I mean, if I'm in a conference, I'm not happy at all.
No.
And again,
That's
more
another thing.
special treatment
Yep.
for Notre Dame. There it is. So, jeez, just insane. Did Alabama get special treatment by being put in?
I do find it weird that they didn't drop and all of the other losers of conference championship games ended up dropping.
Yeah, it's fair. It's a fair thing to ask. Um, as someone who feels like they should get in because I don't think that you should be penalized for playing in your conference title game. It is a very fair critique of the committee. Even if like they had just like flipped them with Miami, like if Alabama had been the 10 and they'd made Miami the 9, I think that would have made people more okay with it. But the fact that they didn't do
Yeah.
that, I think is kind of what has people riled up about it.
I think my thing is that I don't want anyone to be punished for making the conference championship game, but I do think there should be wait if you get dog walked in your conference championship game and it's your third loss of the season. Like it this
It
whole
can't
thing
mean
is
nothing.
this whole selection thing is new, very nuanced, and there's often times where there's no good decision or perfect answer or right decision. But at the end, with that being said, we have to understand like this is a team that went into this game with two losses. They've looked like crap for the last month. They go into this game and they get steamrolled. And now they're the only playoff team in the history of the playoff that is going to make the playoffs with three losses. Like, and for them to be the only one that doesn't drop, that's if you're an ESPN SEC bias like tinfoil hat person, this is exactly why you think this. Like, this is kind of
Yes.
weird to me.
Yeah, it's totally fair. I'm with you 100% on this. I think Bama should have gotten in, but they probably should have been flipped
Yeah.
with flipped with Miami. What if this has to do though with the fact that they were missing, I think 10 players in that game against Georgia that they're supposed to get back? Could that have had anything to do with it?
Did they say that?
No, because Hunter Yurachek is an idiot, and we wonder
He
why
is
Arkansas
not.
football is terrible. Anyways, that's another rant for another time. But yeah, the Yurachek stuff, man. Like Reese Davis would ask him such good questions, and he wouldn't answer them.
Mhm.
So at 1 o'clock, I turned it on to kind of see the actual like selection, and the first question was something along the lines of like, why didn't Ole Miss drop after Lane as like since Lane Kiffin and a lot of the offensive staff is gone? And Hunter Yurachek started his response by saying, well, we didn't want to penalize something about penalizing teams from playing in the conference championship. And I just turned it off. I was like, I'm
Yep.
not. I'm gonna watch Daniel Jones tear his Achilles instead. Um,
Yeah.
and so like the whole did they say that thing? It would have been a great point because I think if they had said that, people still would have been upset because people don't like Alabama. But like that would have been, I think, at least like a reasoning for it, as opposed to like we just didn't want to penalize them after we just penalized everybody else.
Yeah. And like you said, I think they should be in it. I don't think there's I don't think there's a legitimate debate. I don't think there's enough substance there to say they shouldn't be in. But the real issue is the two automatic qualifiers. And that's
Yeah,
the ACC tiebreaker and the automatic qualifiers are why we're having these conversations. But again, you say that you're not biased towards the SEC, but you exclusively broadcast their games. You have a direct relationship with them. You do stuff like this and you get called out on it, but you don't care and you keep doing stuff like this. Like there has to be some type of inherent bias just from an objective, perspective. I don't think it's some sinister conspiracy theory, Jonathan, where
yeah,
they're targeting SEC teams and propping them up on purpose. But there's too many data points to show that they get a little bit more special treatment than other conferences and other teams. And like this is that example. So while it's not the end of the world, and I think they got the bracket right.
I
I
agree.
just think the process was garbage to
Totally
get
fair.
there.
Yeah, I think that's a totally fair critique. But how much of this though? And this is probably not a thing because the head coach obviously changed. Like you mentioned earlier, how like with Notre Dame, there is no history to fall back on of this team can make a run. Whereas with Alabama, like there is, and the SEC really in general over the past, 10 years or so, really before the last 3 years, there's like a little bit of history there that it's kind of fair to give them the benefit of the doubt, just kind of based off of what we've seen. And I think that the Big Ten gets that as well, or should.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of that, but I think it's different when you're a team that is doing something, being allowed into the postseason in this format for the first time with three losses.
Yeah, but like they don't have three losses if they don't play in the conference title game.
Yeah, but that's where okay, they don't have three losses if they don't play in the conference championship game, so we don't punish them for that. But we do punish them because they have three losses now, and the way they got their third loss was an absolute boat racing. You see what I'm saying? Like it's both
Yeah.
of those things combined.
Yeah, so like you would have been more I think people would have been more okay with it if they hadn't looked as bad as they did.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just yesterday. I think they've looked bad for a month. And
Yeah,
like
it's been
they're
brutal.
not playing their best football.
Absolutely not. And like this was because I want to start transitioning out of this, but like one of my favorite things to have seen over the course of the year is like the development of Georgia. Like Georgia in September is very different from Georgia right now. Whereas like you watch Alabama, that's like they're just kind of have stayed here, and it's been more like this here as of late. And like that's a DeBoer thing. Like because like they're really talented, but for some reason, like I don't feel like his teams, at least at Alabama, have improved over the course of the year.
Oh, Mr. DeBoer, number one fan is kind of seeing the light, huh?
I mean, they still did make the playoff. I mean, so it's not like
J
they're,
JMU made the
terrible.
playoffs, so is that the marker now for Bama?
Fair point, man. Fair point. Yeah, so but anyway, like with that being said, I think there's four teams good enough to win the title. There's one that I'm obviously going to pick. But like I think all four of the top four seeds, like if if any one of those four won it, I wouldn't be surprised. That being said, like I am going to pick Ohio State because even though they lost last night, I still think that they're the best team. What is kind of the what is the grouping of teams that you think are good enough to win the whole thing?
I would agree with you. I would just throw Oregon in there.
Yeah, I my thing with Oregon is like I just they're obviously really talented. How healthy are they going to be going into it? Because that's kind of been their issue all year. They've been really banged up, especially on offense. Like that a Dan Lanning defense is always going to be really good and tough and nasty and all those things. But my thing is like they have to get healthy at wide receiver if they're going to win the whole thing.
I think this extra week off will probably give them some of their guys back. They'll feel they'll feel probably the best they have since midseason. But even without everyone coming back, I just think that they're on that same level as the top four seeds. I think they have the firepower and the explosiveness that the teams under them don't have. And I think that there are very little holes with Oregon. Now, their ceiling might not be as good as, let's say, the top four seeds, but I think the difference between the teams that we're talking about and the rest of the field is the floor. No one of those five seeds are going to bottom out like I could see
Yeah.
Alabama or Oklahoma or even Miami and Texas A&M like we saw against South Carolina in the first half. Like those five seeds are never going to do something like that.
Yeah, and I also think that they're all just more complete in general. Like Ole Miss's defense isn't great. Oklahoma can't move the football. John Mateer, it's like, hey man, can you make four plays for us? And to his
Yeah.
credit, he has. Whereas, like Indiana's offense before they played Ohio State is really good. Ohio State before they played Indiana, like the offense is clearly elite, and so on with the rest of those teams. And like you texted me about this last year you said that you didn't like how college football was becoming a more defensive kind of oriented sport again. Do you still feel like that? Because I feel like this year especially, like we've seen a shift. Whereas last year, like Ohio State and Notre Dame, I thought that their defenses were awesome, and everyone else was like really good or not. Whereas like this year, like Georgia's defense, I think is elite now. Texas, Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon. Like that, so I just the shift I like the shift. Do you like kind of the shift that we've seen?
Yeah, I don't know if I said I didn't like it. I don't like it in the NFL because it makes it's a football thing. It's a college NFL. Like the defenses are starting to come back around again. And in the NFL, I hate it because it makes games boring. But in college football, yeah, I mean, look at the bracket here. Like the top four seeds are elite defenses, elite defenses, and the ability to get stops and get off the field on third down and bow up in the red zone. Like there was not too long ago, we were having conversations where like even the 19 LSU team wasn't like this juggernaut on defense. They had some draft guys, but it's not like they were putting up historical numbers like Ohio State's defense or Indiana's defense this year. Like the level of defense in which you need to win a college football national title now has gone up a couple levels, and I think that's important to note.
It is, and I like the shift. Like the game, just like Ohio State IU was clearly the best game last night, and I do want to talk about the game with you a little bit. You being a Ohio State fan, and the thing that I like about it is I just like seeing guys kind of rise to the occasion. And I feel like when you have more defensive oriented games, like that's just like a little more clear. Like I thought that the difference last night was Fernando Mendoza made just like a couple extra plays that Sane didn't, and that's why IU won. And I love moments kind of like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Um, it, you know, a standard one-on-one fade ball, I guess, is a Heisman moment now, but
Okay, okay, Johnny
to
Manziel.
steal the words of Johnny Manziel, yeah. But yeah, we can get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a good thing for the sport because for the longest time you would hear about, oh, I don't want to see games in the 50s. That's why I don't like college football. But now I see it feels like you're watching a more complete football game
Yes.
against top teams. And then obviously, I think the idea that defenses are better and there's more of a focus on it. I think it gives you more parity. I think more teams can beat anyone on any given day now in the sport more than ever before. So I think it's overall positive.
Yeah, agree with you, and I do think that it's more of a positive, and I'm excited to watch these defenses hopefully advance through, and we get to see them all play uh, against each other again. So I think we kind of I do agree with you. Like Oregon probably should be in that tier one, but like at the bottom of it in terms of teams who could win the whole thing. Who do you think are the teams that could like maybe beat one of those teams, if that makes sense? Like, because like I think that the first round is relatively easy to predict. But like, who are maybe some of those teams that have to play in round one that you wouldn't be surprised if they pulled an upset in the second round? Any of them?
I want to I want to say Oklahoma. I want to, but that sounds kind of like me being a hater, so I'm not going to. But I think that you kind of saw a blueprint for how to stop IU. I think whenever IU plays good teams, they don't know how to run the ball anymore, and I think that will be their eventual undoing in this playoff. And I could see an Oklahoma like defense, you know, if they get to Texas Tech, like I that type of defense is going to end their season this year. You can stamp that. I'll put real money that a team with a really good defense is going to be Indiana in this playoffs. So I guess that's my answer.
Okay, that's fair. Like, because the Oklahoma experience, my question would be like, can they score? Can they score? 13 against IU because that kind of feels like the number that feels like a lot for Oklahoma. But at the same time, like the way that they play defense, they weren't forcing turnovers earlier in the year, but like over the last month, that's been a department where they've really improved that. And if they were to turn Mendoza over, a couple of times, because like when we saw him play, Penn State, who even though Penn State didn't have a great year, Penn State's still really talented. Like we saw him kind of struggle there a little bit. Oregon, he has the bad pick. He had the interception last night against Ohio State. And if it's a game where he turns it over, I think I could see that happening. If A&M wasn't playing Ohio State in the second round, I think I'd put them in that category as well. I just, like I just don't trust Marcel Reed at all.
I don't trust that team at all. At no point will I ever think a team that was down 31 to 3 at half against a team that's not even going to make a bowl. Come
Yeah.
on, you're not in the conversation.
Yeah, totally fair. I won't I won't argue with
You
that.
tried. You tried.
The thing with them, like their defense is really good. And
Is
and so
it?
like is there and that's the other thing too about A&M to to the point I think that you're about to make. Outside of the win against Notre Dame, like that's really it on their resume. Um and so I'm actually really intrigued to kind of see how they look against Miami, who everyone loved Miami, 2 months ago. Like, is there any like again, like they have Ohio, they're gonna draw Ohio State in the second round, so like they're probably not gonna win. But like, is Miami a team that maybe people fall in love with again after they potentially beat A&M in that first round?
I don't think so. I'm
What's changed for them? Because early in the year it was like Miami, Ohio State, Indiana, or Oregon. Like those are the three teams, and then obviously like they lose to Louisville and SMU if I remember correctly. Carson Beck turns into Carson Beck and he throws 20 interceptions in those two games. Like as long as he doesn't have a game like that, again they're gonna draw Ohio State in round two. But I think as long as you don't get that version of Beck, I do kind of like Miami.
I don't trust their coach.
Yeah.
He's an awful in-game coach. He can recruit really well and he gets talent in there, but we've seen it time and time again that he's just not a very good in-game manager. And like he doesn't put together these great game plans and it's consistent and they play below their talent level. Like, and this year was supposed to be the year that it was different. And then we see a game like Louisville and a game like SMU. It's just, like these teams at this point in the season have kind of told you who they are. And I think this year is really, really kind of intriguing because I think we all know where this is going. I think we all know how
Yeah.
this unfolds and where this ends up. Um, and I could be wrong, but it just seems like we have such a good feel for all of these teams, and we know exactly how this is going to play out.
Yeah, and we should. We've only seen them play for the last 3 months. Um, and I feel like we're gonna wind up with the top four seeds in the semis, and I'm gonna be on Twitter like, oh, so glad we expanded to a 12-team playoff just to have the four best teams in in the semis again. Um, and how do you feel about Tech? Because I really want to just really love Tech, but their best one's BYU, who's they're ranked. I don't remember what they were ranked at, but I don't think BYU is as good as I don't think that they're a top 15 team. Um, and so
They're probably a top 15 team.
but
They're not
they
a, they're not
but they'd be
they're
like
not a
15.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I just and so dog walking them twice is it is impressive. But at the same time, it's I haven't seen them play against any of the other elite competition in college football. And while all the recruiting stuff tells you that their roster, especially the top end of it, I don't know if they have the depth of a team like Ohio State. But the top end of it, recruiting wise, tells you this is one of the best teams in college football. How do you kind of feel about them going into this?
The one thing that I think that is going to end up being the demise of Texas Tech is Barron Morton. Um, I don't think they have the quarterback play to take this all the way.
Is that the holdup with Georgia as well?
I don't really have I don't have like a glaring thing with Georgia other than I think their offensive line can get exposed,
Yeah.
especially with Boba being out and having some other injuries there. It's kind of been a weak spot for them. But when it comes to Tech, I just don't think they have the quarterback to. I'm gonna pick Oregon. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm picking Oregon in that game. Um, the Orange Bowl. I think Oregon outlasts them. I think it's a good game. I think Texas Tech proves that they belong where they were. But I just think that Barron Morton is going to make a couple boneheaded plays. Did you watch the BYU Texas Tech
Yeah,
game,
I
right?
did. Yeah.
There was like five passes Barron Morton threw where if a BYU player had any type of awareness at all, it's a pick. Like he was
Yeah.
throwing balls off of BYU players. Like one hit a dude, one ball hit a BYU player in the helmet. He wasn't looking. Another hit him in the shoulder. Like he did like that. He did that like five times and didn't get hurt by it. And I think that's what I've kind of seen with Texas Tech is like their Big 12 schedule. No one's really capitalized on that. And I think once you get up here where you're playing for national titles, I think that gets exposed.
Yeah, that's a fair critique. That is the question with them. Um, but man, that defense is so good. I love their front. It's just I love watching that team play. J Rod, I think, is a guy that everyone has kind of fallen in love with, and it's weird. Of the four, we saw them just crush BYU, and it feels like of these four teams getting a bye, they're still saying that they're coming in under the radar would be wrong because they are the four seed, but it kind of
The
feels like
Big
that a
12
little
just isn't
bit.
as good. I think
It's
that's I
not.
think that's it.
That's exactly what it is. So sorry, I just got a thing. We got 10 minutes. We've been doing this for 30 minutes already. Jeez. Um,
That's crazy, actually.
that it really is. Time flies when you're having fun. Um, between Tulane and I'm not even gonna ask that question. It's stupid. Neither one of them are winning. No, no chance.
Yeah.
Who do you think has the easiest path?
Georgia.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be Ole Miss without Kiffin.
Yeah.
That's the right answer. Um, so you'd rather play Ole Miss than A&M or Miami?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hate that for Ole Miss. Like,
Yeah.
but it's Lane Kiffin. Come on now, we're not surprised at all by that.
I think Ole Miss, I think even with Kiffin, I think I might say that. But
Yeah,
I their their defense is just kind of not at the level athlete or talent wise that I guess the next candidate would be obviously Texas Tech has the easy
but te
path if
they've got to
JMU
play.
wins, but
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm
but that's not
saying
going to happen. But yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
that's my point. Like I think Ole Miss has the weakest defense of those, and like at least when you play Miami, you know that there's guys like Ruben Bain lined up on the other side. Same thing with Texas Tech. I just don't know if you have that with Ole Miss, and that's why I say Georgia probably.
yeah. That's fair. And then they get to play Ohio State instead of IU. So I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I did like. I don't have any other thoughts on the rankings or the bracket. I did like 20 minutes last night on the conference t title games. We got 8 minutes. I'd love to get your thoughts because I didn't talk to you a ton at after the games. Um, so you can start with whichever one you want. If you have any other thoughts on the playoff, we can work through those. But if not, I'd love your thoughts on the conference title games.
Yeah, real quick, I guess Texas Tech, kind of affirmed everything that I thought about them, both good and bad. I don't think that I learned anything new about Texas Tech. Obviously they have a really good middle of their defense. Like you said, their top end is just as talented as anyone else. But like I said, I do think the quarterback play is going to hold them back. And when it comes to Georgia and Alabama, I think, you know, all of the results that we saw last night, except for the Big Ten title game, were kind of expected. So again, I don't think I learned anything new about Georgia or Alabama. Um, I mean, I don't think Georgia is as good as Indiana or Ohio State, and I feel like if you put Indiana or Ohio State on the field against Alabama last night, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. What do you think?
There's just a little more explosiveness offensively, I think, for IU and Ohio State, and that's the difference between them and Georgia. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the Big Ten title game, I just think that there is a how do I want to say this? There's like a you know Ryan Day when he loses your start, it starts to look the same now. Like he doesn't lose a bunch. He's got the best winning percentage of any college football coach ever.
Yeah.
Um, but when they do lose, it's starting to look the same every time. Clunky. Play calling is questioned. It's predictable. It's boneheaded decisions, not being able to convert short yardage red zone. Like it's all of the same things that you talked about last year when Ohio State lost to Michigan. It's all of the things that you saw the last 3 years when they lost to Michigan, Missouri in the bowl game. Like all of these losses look the same. And it shocks me because I thought after the run they went on last year and how they controlled the regular season this year, I thought we were over that. And what really bothers me the most about Ohio State losing last night is that I don't feel like they gave themselves a the best shot to win. Credit to Indiana, they made a couple more plays than Ohio State did. They got a couple more no calls than Ohio State did too, especially on the lines. A couple of those, two of those scoring drives should have been stopped when Kenyatta Jackson was tackled by two
Yeah.
guys. Um, and I know, yeah, I'm not blaming that, but I'm just
I
saying,
know
like,
you're not. I was gonna say
I
you
want
sound like a
to,
Notre Dame fan after the A&M game.
I want to highlight the refs on both sides were awful
Yeah,
in that Big
it
Ten
wasn't
title
very
game.
well officiated at all. I agree with that. Yeah.
But I think what my bigger point on Ohio State is I don't like. I'm done watching that form of Ohio State. I thought it was over, and like if you're gonna lose like you lost against Georgia in the 21 playoffs. Like swing, take your swings,
Yeah.
be creative,
Both
motions.
teams, both teams were so conservative last night. And which was really surprising because, like you said, we've seen Ohio State kind of control the entire regular season. And for Indiana, like maybe this is why I'm not a coach. If I'm the underdog, you better believe I'm swinging. And like when it's 10-6 and I have the
I think they
football,
tried though. I think they tried and Ohio State didn't try.
yeah. And my biggest thing with Ohio State,
Not effort wise. You don't
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
mean
yeah,
effort. I
yeah,
mean
yeah. You
like
mean like
game plan
taking, yeah,
wise.
yeah, yeah. My biggest thing with Ohio State, this is my last thing, and then I'll let you respond to this, and then we can wrap up. You've got the best football player in the country lined up out wide, and I know that like numbers wise, like he had a pretty good game, like over 100 yards receiving, but there were still long stretches where Jeremiah Smith's name was not mentioned, and like I love D'Angelo Pons, little 5'9", 170, playing hard. That dude's giving up 6 inches and 50 pounds to Jeremiah Smith. Can we please throw that guy the football at least twice every single drive? Seriously, like that was my biggest frustration with them last night.
Yeah, I think we kind of forget though because of the red zone, the two fourth downs they didn't convert. But Ohio State drove the ball down the field both times in the second half and had huge, long, sustained drives. Like the actual moving the ball in between the 20s was pretty good. It was a
I,
little clunky,
I thought for both
but when they
teams
got
they moved the ball. Yeah,
when they got inside the red zone, they went to these, 12, 13, 14 personnel and took those guys off the field. Like
yeah,
you can't miss the field goal that would have probably sent it to overtime, but like the bones of it, the structure of it of getting down the field was clunky and it looked horrible and I didn't like it. But at the end of the day, like you took your best two receivers off the field and put in third string tight ends. Like
yeah.
that's what I mean by predictable and conservative. And every second down, you're running zone runs to the boundary. And I texted you like 60 times, like,
You
oh, a
did.
run's coming. Like
Yeah,
this play's getting called.
and
So it's just like I don't expect that again from Ohio State the rest of the
yeah,
season. I don't know why it takes a loss for them to kind of shake out of it. But it's just frustrating when I think Ohio State's the better team. I think they are just better across the board. I think Indiana is slightly worse at everything than Ohio State is. But they got out coached last night. And that really is the difference. Like at the end of the day, I think Indiana played the best game of their entire season and the best game of the Signetti era. And I think Ohio State played a C. And I think that's the difference.
yeah. Totally fair. I hope we get it again because I do think that those are the two best teams in college football, and it was a fun game. Like as someone who thankfully had no dog in the fight whatsoever, it was really fun to just sit there and watch two teams that are just so good and so talented. And to your point, we have less than a minute. The predictability of Ohio State, I do think, cost them. And you can see it in the number of negative plays 5 sacks for Indiana, 9 tackles for loss compared to 4 sacks and 3 tackles for loss, or 3 sacks and 4 tackles for loss for Ohio State. So I think you're exactly right. I don't think that'll happen again, but I hope we see it. Zach, thank you so much for 40 minutes, man. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Jonathan.
The
You got it,
video.
buddy.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. Do me a favor and subscribe. We got a lot more great college football content coming out as the playoff starts. Once again, subscribe, and I'll talk to you again soon.